Now welcome to Bants, new episode this week, and of course as you can see I have a different person sitting beside me this week. It's not Dec's over in lovely Los Angeles, so Jay Byrne is joining me, who is current manager. Wouldn't say promoter yet, would you say?
No.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
hopefully.
2019.
Yeah, and obviously sparring partner for people such as Declan and other people in this gym. So yeah, so basically what I want to ask is, you've a kind of a different structured past in terms of like you as an athlete. Like you started off in football and you came over into boxing. So how did you transition, and what age were you when you made that transition over?
Played football obviously since I was a boy. When I was like a tot all the way up, and then when I was about 18, I went down to Monkstown and I started just doing a bit of boxing. And about 18, 19, and I was trying to be an electrician at the time, and I got stuck in, like everything, got stuck into it, and was mad for it. So ended in a few novice competitions and was doing well. And then in the final one of the novice competitions, I broke my wrist, and I was out of work for like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and it cost me a fortune because I was like a third or fourth year at the time. It cost me massive money because I was in the boom at the time, so I probably earned about 500-600 quid a week as a kid, really. Like, and I said that's not for me, so I just went back to football. And then I had a couple of spells with Bray Wonders and things like that, and I was back into playing football at a decent level. Then I went and played through the Leinster Senior League. I was at a few clubs in between the top league down, and then I ended up taking over managing Skerry, and I was playing for Skerry, and I ended up getting asked to run a white collar for someone who was in an accident to raise a few bob. So I said, right, yeah, I'll do that. So I called on a lot of young fellas and that I used to coach in the football, and that got them to do it, the brother and that, and a few of my mates, and they all got involved, and it just took off. We started doing the white collar, and then the lads were like, oh, you're going to keep training us? And I was like, no, I'm going back and keep playing football, I haven't got time. But we ended up opening the boxing club to look after the lads and that, and it just grew, and it just got bigger and bigger. I think at one stage we had 80 something members from having 15 or 16 white collars, you know. And then it was going out to clubs like Crumlin and that, and Phil Sutcliffe would always rope me into having a fight on the Thursday shows and the Saturday shows and things. And I remember it was June 2014, I think it was June 2014, and he said to me, could I get in, that someone had let down their coach to fight, so I had to ask my brother for his shorts, his vest and his headgear and boots. Phil gave me a boil of the gum shield for me, which was probably used 100 times before by someone else. And in I went against Shawnee Carton.
Yeah.
And I had a decent exhibition with Shawnee, and then that was June, and then it happened. Then I go to another show and I'd be asking, and then I started training a little bit more with the lads, and I was sparring with the boys and that, and getting them ready for competition. So I was getting them ready for the Dublin novices, the Leinster novices, the Irish novices, and I just started training for them myself with them. And I ended up winning the Dublins, winning the Leinsters, going into the All-Irelands. I ended up getting beaten in the final in the All-Irelands, and then I got involved in what they call the semi-pro scene.
Right, okay.
Which
yeah.
was unlicensed.
Is that kind of like, well, obviously now what probably semi-pro known as kind of WSB, isn't it? More so. But obviously not in Ireland, it wouldn't be that.
The WSB was more like a high level amateur thing. This was more unlicensed, like a high level of white collar boxing. But so there was like a few guys, like Carl Kelly boxed a guy who was an ex-pro. He was 3-0, 4-0 as a pro, couldn't sell tickets though.
Right, okay.
And just never got a break. So he went back and he was fighting in these shows and selling 20, 30 tickets and making a few bob. And a guy in England asked me, got my name and asked me would I bring a team over, but I was unaware, because I was only new into the box, and I was unaware that this was an amateur. So I got the lads together, matched all the fights, flights, everything was sorted, and got over there, and all the lads were since 18, 19, 20, and they're going in against grown 30-odd-year-old men standing on the scales against these monsters, and now weights weren't too much in the difference, but these are boys against men. I was petrified. So I said, we turned up and we all had the amateur kits and the headgears. And my man's like, no, we don't wear headgears and we don't wear vests. And I was like, what? So we ended up.
It's not 3 rounds, it's 12 rounds.
Some were 4 and some were 6, and I was like, oops. So look, the lads, I had to be fair, were like myself, they didn't care. The lads will fight anyone, you know, that kind of way. So we get in, we actually had a great day out over in Croydon. tough hell earlier now, but it was good. We done well, great experience, big huge arena and all that, and it was. So then he passed me name up to another lad, and I got really close friends with him, a fella called Pete Stoughton from Kent. So then it became a really close relationship. Now Pete's been over, he's been in my house, and I've been over there, and we've like a good few times he's been here, he's been in the gym and that, and really good friend of mine. We ended up going back and forward, I think like 5-6 times within a year and a half, and then it was just I was really doing really well now. I was beating guys, and then I brought Tommy McCormick over. You know Tommy, and I brought Tommy over then because I'd start training because I had no coach, I never had a coach. So I said, right, I needed a coach. So I asked Tommy would he coach me. Tommy said, no, I'll bring you over to Eddie Hoyland coach you. So I said, yeah, no bother. So I went over with Tommy, started training with Eddie, and I got a fight over in another one on Pete's show. It was in Gillingham Football Club. And I ended up going over, I boxed the guy and I knocked him out in like 50 seconds, and this is the first time Tommy had seen me fight bar. A few exhibitions and things as an amateur, which I never really took serious. As I said, I never had a coach. And me and Tommy just got chatting. Me and Tommy were good friends, like we were really close, and he just said to me, I think the amateurs just suit you. He said, you're bleeding 29, like, he said, would you not have a look at maybe going pro? And I laughed. I said, I'd never be a pro. Sure, I said, I'm only boxing a wet day, like. So we had a laugh and joke about it. I got back to the club.
How old were you this now?
29.
29, yeah.
Yeah, and Tommy said to Eddie, look, I think you should go pro, and he said, yeah, I'll go pro.
Yeah.
So it actually funny because it was about like.
Were you still plumbing at the time at all, or were you doing any other work? It was
I was sparking. Yeah.
That was it. You were still sparking.
And I was managing in a Scardy football club as well. And
so
I was busy. Like,
yeah.
I was busy, and I was running the boxing club.
Right. Okay. So it's a lot on your plate.
Yeah, and I just said, look, let's give it a go. And from there, then we just took it, and I actually sparred Anthony Fitzgerald in Crumlin for Phil one day, and I done well against him. I had a good spar against Fitzy. There was a show before the Regency thing. Fitzy was getting ready for that. I sparred him for that, and I had a good spar with Fitzy. And after that, I actually got talking to Phil, and Phil had said the same. He thinks his pro game would suit me better, so I said, right, look, let's have a go of it.
Yeah. So
that's kind of how I went from, and I'm still playing football. I remember 2 weeks before my debut, I was still playing on the Friday night, and then it's scary, like up to 2 weeks before my debut. Like,
was it like it kind of almost sounds like it's not so much that you kind of found boxing, but boxing kind of found you. It kind of just pulled it in almost like. As
everyone says to me, how'd you get into it? I said I fell into it. I didn't mean to get into it.
It was because usually I was expecting something like. I fell in love with football, and I just found boxing, and that's what I wanted to do. But it's kind of it was like a domino effect almost. Like,
basically just fell onto me.
Yeah. So when you turned pro, what were your aspirations? You said, I'm going to make a few extra bob from it and just do the best I can, or were you thinking of, I'd like to win an Irish title, I'd like to, do you know what I mean? No.
Even at that, money never come into it, because I'd never rely on boxing or sport for money. Even when I went into the coaching and the things, like people were saying, hey, you got a few bob coaching in the Leinster Senior League and certain teams, never bothered me. Never asked for money anywhere. Would have got me expenses and things maybe covered for if I was going anywhere, or that going out with matches and that, but never anything else. With the boxing, no, I said to Tommy, look, I didn't think I'd win a fight, to be honest with you. I thought pro would be being, whoa, what's this like? You know? Then they named me debut opponent, and he had 7 wins, 3 losses and a draw. I was breaking it. And I remember going into the stadium for the debut. I was ringing Tommy all week. Tommy be the shoulder to cry on. Anytime I'm worried to ring Tommy, even now. You know? And people look at me and say, I hate fighting, I need a mad cunt, like, you know what I mean? But I still ring Tommy now with certain fights, and Tommy, what do you think? Like, and Tommy'd say, oh no, just do this, this and this, you know? He kind of calms me down sometimes, you know what I mean? Now, since I've been with Declan as well, Declan would go through a lot of that with me, you know? He would look after me a lot more. Like, he'd be on the phone to me all the time, and he sends me little quotes and little videos to watch, and more mentally stuff as well, like, so that's good as well. But now I remember going into the stadium on the debut, and I was fighting a fella, Gabor Ambrose was his name, and I remember being in the high performance, and Sean Turner said, what are you doing fighting that lad? That's stupid, like, you know what I mean? It's a stupid fight for your debut. So that made me stomach run even faster, you know what I mean? I down the other end of the team, bricking it I was. But
of all the people to say to you as well.
Yeah, Tommy said to me, and he said to me all week, he says, you'll beat this kid, and you're going to beat him, and you're going to look good beating him. I said, Tom, I won't beat him, he's bleeding. Look his record now. Tommy goes, trust me. I said, alright. And I ended up knocking me out in the second round. So I was like, But like, I mean, I trained like an absolute machine for that fight.
Yeah,
I trained on my own. I had a little small single chamber. I hadn't got this place at the time. A small single chamber of boxing, but I lived in it. I didn't leave it. I was in it all the time.
Yeah,
I get into the ring. I was literally like a piece of meat, rocks hot and cold. You wouldn't have.
Yeah.
You could have poked me and you wouldn't have moved the thing. Like, I was solid. Like, my life depended on that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
it's funny. It kind of reminds me of the story of Curtis Woodhouse. I mean, he was the same. He was pro. He was a Premier League footballer. And he said his first ever fight was against Rob Deacon. You know, everyone knows Rob Deacon, like he, well-known journeyman, like. But he was just bricking it, and he was training so hard for it. And everyone thought he was a joke, like, oh, Premier League footballer turning pro. But then he was pulled into the hall, and Rob Deacon was outside having a fag, and he was like, well, and he had to fight with him, and after it, like, he beat him, but he beat him on points, like, but he was sitting in the change room just like, what am I after doing? I can't believe I'm after fighting Rob Deacon. I barely beat him, and Rob just walked out. I was like, waved him, like, see you later. Yeah, it was like fag back in his mouth and walked out. Like, but yeah, it's funny because then the person you were probably fighting has probably done it so many times. He was like, oh, it's another fight, but you're like living in the gym for it. You know?
No, I was mentally just, that fight was everything. Like, I mean, it was. But nah, look, it's like everything. It was just new. Everything was new. I mean, the big problem I had was when I played football, my legs were massive, like, and I was still playing football right up to the debut. Like, I hadn't played up to the second and third fight. It was when the Sky fights came, like, ever football, because then there was a few bob, and then it was like, geez, you know, man, if I got injured now, I could be down a few grand here, you know. So I said that's not worth it, like, but. The problem I had was I was like looking at every exercise and asking fitness instructors and asking people what were the best exercises to cut muscle off your legs, because my quads were massive, like, they were huge, like, and it was months of cycling in the chamber, just non-resistance, cycle to burn the legs down. I done it now and all. My legs have totally transformed now. They're turned around, and they're not like some boxer pins, but they're not what they used to be, because they were massive, like.
And then obviously they wouldn't do any favours for your weight either.
No, that was the problem. It was like hitting the weight without being like nothing up on top. Like, in the football, I would have been decent size up top and down, but I would have played football at probably 77, 78 kilos, and I weighed in for my debut at 68.
Yeah,
you know, so it was a big turnaround. Like,
Teddy Atlas always says that. He says the lads to walk out for aren't the thick lads or the lads with big legs. He says it's the skinny, long fellas, whatever trajectory, whatever. He says they're the lads that hit the hardest, like Deontay Wilder and all those people, like, just the way they turn into shots, like. But so obviously, starting off as a pro, was it Tommy that was your manager then, or who was your manager? Sorry?
No, funny enough, same again. I didn't have a clue what way it all worked. So we needed a manager, and Frank Stacey was running the show in the stadium at the time. Was the one with Ricky Hatton, and Tommy just said to Frank while he was in the gym, "Look, he needs a manager for his license." Because Mel Crystal in the VUI wanted a manager, so Frank was just signed up and became my manager then. But that fell down when Frank's couple of shows were cancelled, because I was training for shows and selling tickets, and then they weren't happening. And you know, look, Frank had his own issues of what went on, and I don't know what went on. Like, I had an issue last year myself, so I mean, it could be similar issues, or I don't know. But it's neither here nor there. I needed to fight. I'm no spring chicken, and I just then said, look, I'll go look after myself, and I actually got friendly with Mark Dunlop, and Mark took over and became a manager for a brief spell as well. Mark was the one who arranged the Sky fights as well. So
right, okay, so that's how you kind of entered your first, like, you were, I think you were only seven fights in as a pro, and Josh Kelly had his very first fight, and that's when you fought him. So that's how, would that be how you got the opportunity to fight Josh?
No, I was 4-0.
Was it 4-0? Sorry.
And I fought Felix Cash.
Yeah.
What happened was, it was actually funny. I was fighting in Belfast. I fought in Dublin, then I fought in Belfast, and then I was fighting in Belfast again. So, I went into the third Belfast fight. I had popped my shoulder in the warm up. It was actually funny. It's the same shoulder I popped last week, and it was the only 2 times in my career that it's actually ever caused any problems. And in the warm up, my shoulder went, and Lynn Harvey was there that night. She was about to get into the ring, so the lads went to the ring with Lynn just as it happened. So I was sitting there with ice on the shoulder, so I think the shoulder went numb, and I was like, yeah, it's grand, it's no problems and the whole lot. So I was down to the ring, the walk to the ring, wait for your man and all that, and then realised that the shoulder wasn't grand, so I couldn't throw a punch with it. So I had to fight, and I was at middleweight because I was only back from Vegas on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, and this was the Saturday. So I was only back in Vegas, I was wrecked, and I was over there for Frampton and Santa Cruz, and I was at middleweight. I was like 73 and a half, 74 kilos, and I only had one arm. Your man was just a little come forward bruiser, like, you know what I mean, and he was just swinging wild. Like, you could see after the fight, the whole left side of my face is just black and blue. Like, the same again, like, I wasn't technically great, like, my defence would have been limited as I was, never mind with one arm, you know. But yeah, and then that was that. So I was the same, shook it off. The shoulder wasn't that bad. A few days later I went to a physio, and that it was the same, but they said the ligament was slightly damaged. It looks like the shoulder has moved. The shoulder had maybe popped out and popped back in, so the ligaments are damaged, same as this one. But I had already signed to fight in Dublin, my first 6-rounder, 3 weeks later, which would have been February 25th. So after a few days, the physio says, look, it'll be 2 or 3 weeks before you'll be back punching. I wasn't pulling out of the fight in Dublin. I wanted to fight the guy as well. So I ended up going in fighting him. But the week before that fight, I had been offered the Felix Cash fight at, and that was middleweight on Sky, and the same, like, I was just, yeah, I'll fight him, I loved it. This is the dream, like, you know what I mean? This, like, I mean, me on Sky Sports is hilarious to think about it back then, because I had a debut. I had 2 fights that I was just back from Vegas, 3 days. Yeah. And then I had the 6-rounder in Dublin, where I was literally only after, I shouldn't have been fighting because of the dislocation in the shoulder. And then the fight again on Sky 3 weeks later, so I was like, yeah, go for it. So the fight in Dublin was welterweight, so it was 66.5 kilos. And the fight in Sky was 73.5, and it was only 3 weeks in the difference, so I had to, like, put on 7 kilos in 3 weeks. I remember eating breakfast and eating stuff on the way over to the weigh-in and still coming in like 4 pound lighter, you know. But it was, to me, it was just, I said, look, let's have a shot at this, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that was where the Sky fights kind of started, you know. So
obviously after the Cash fight, what was your like, looking back at it now, like, after, it was just a great experience, obviously, like, but what were you thinking after that in regards to your career? Were you thinking, right, I'm going to kick on now and try to win some titles, or were you thinking, I just want to get as many of these big fights as I can? Like,
no, that was March. That was Paddy's Day, actually. It was Paddy's Day. It was. So I was 4-0 going over there. I went in against a middleweight. He was massive. I knew nothing about him, and I accepted the fight without even looking at him, seeing him, height, size. I didn't care. I just wanted to fight. I've always been fairly tough. Like, I can take a bang. You know what I mean? So kind of never really worried. Now going to the ring, I was worried. I was like jelly walking to the ring when after seeing him on the weigh-in. Sized him, and well, I come home, I was 4 for 1. I mean, he hadn't stopped me, and I'm gonna be straightly honest with you, he didn't hurt me. He never once hurt me, and I think anyone that watches the fight can see he didn't hurt me. I mean, to have a welterweight stand in the middle of the ring in the 4th or the 5th round and call you on, he laughed and kind of went backwards, and I started running forward at him, throwing punches. I mean, that I think showed him that this lad's probably not normal in the head, or he's not being hurt, you know what I mean? I wasn't being hurt. So no, I was 4 for 1, and then I was only home, and the Celtic Clash, I don't know, it was Celtic Clash 2 maybe or 3, they were having a show in the May, and I said, look, let's get back to doing what I had planned on doing, just fighting in Dublin, and I never dreamt of the Sky thing. So I just got a fight on that. I won that fight, so now I was up to 5. So I had agreed to that, but it was, they asked me to fight Josh Kelly on April 25th, and the same, I said yeah. But it was actually funny because in and around the time when I was offered the Josh Kelly fight, the Celtic Clash crowd, Leonard and Stephen and Tony, David, then started the talks of the White House fight, and I was like, yeah, I'll fight him, no problem. But they were delaying on making the fight. I accepted, and there was nothing, and then they'd like, yeah, it will happen, it'll be this, it'll be that, and it just wasn't happening. The fight just wasn't happening. They weren't willing to accept the fight, and to be fair to Leonard and Stephen, they were doing all they could to get the fight on, and Tony and Gerard weren't. They just, to me, they didn't want the fight. And then I accepted the Josh Kelly fight, and all of a sudden was, you've accepted that. Tony was like, when he loses that fight, he won't be a worthy opponent for Gerard. So I was like, oh, okay, why did you not sign the fight before I accepted it? Yeah. So I went over to the Josh Kelly fight, and looking at Josh Kelly now after what he's done, you'd probably say, I'm clueless, but I genuinely thought I could beat Josh Kelly going over. I'd watched him as an amateur, and he was an excellent amateur, but he was a slick kind of boxing the back foot amateur. He wasn't.
Do you think he's more suited for the pro game?
I think he's brilliant. I think it's changed Adam Beudis, obviously. Yeah. Like, he's phenomenal now. Like, I mean, and he's a great guy as well. But I just thought as an amateur he left himself open to be hit at times. Yeah, he was slippery in this, but I'm like, it's 6 rounds, smaller gloves, pro ring. I genuinely thought if I could land on him and get inside on him, and even watching the fight back now, I genuinely believe that if I had been as good as I am now, because I do feel I'm a lot better now. I genuinely feel I could have asked a lot more questions that night. Watching it back now, obviously he's a million times better now than he was on that fight, because that was his debut. But yeah, I thought it was a good fight, to be honest. I've watched it back a few times, and I did get a round or two on the judges' cards as well. Yeah. So that also was good for me. But and then again, I obviously went the distance with him again, so that was a big achievement, especially now looking at him, because he's nearly banged out everyone. Yeah,
and you actually said he never really hurt you at all.
He caught me one heavy body shot in the 5th round, and I was on my way to the floor, and I got a little flicker in my head or something, and my personal, and I just kind of rose. I was on the way to the floor with my knees, and everything was gone, and I came back up and I grabbed him by the waist. I kind of pulled out him for a couple of seconds till I got to the corner, and then I threw him on the ground, and bought a bit of time, and then I got through. But yeah, he badly hurt me with a body shot in the 5th round. Yeah, it was plain blatant to see, but bar that, no. Yeah, he didn't hurt me. So at this stage I was 4 for 2 coming home, fought in Dublin, got the win. Now I was 5 for 2. In the back of my head I was still not thinking titles. I was just saying, look, see what happens. The title mention had been with the Gerard Whitehouse fight. That didn't happen then. I did come back and say, look, I'll take the fight. They said no, I wasn't a worthy opponent. That was the word out of the camp, that I wasn't. My record wasn't good enough to fight Gerard. So right.
And so obviously moving on from that fight, not really long after, it was almost like the next fight, wasn't it? You were fighting Anthony Fowler, wasn't it?
I fought in May 25th in Dublin, and then the Anthony Fowler fight was offered to me early. It was offered to me in June, the end of June, start of July, for September 30th in the Echo Arena in Liverpool. I'll be straightly honest with you, I didn't want that fight.
Really?
No, I was going through a bit of personal stuff at home, and I was just out. I was kind of living a crappy life. I hadn't trained in the month or so, and I was out, and I was doing what you do in the summer, going out with the boys, and just fucking wasn't training. I was putting on weight, and I just had no structure. And the fight came through, and I said no, I didn't really want it. And then I was told, Mark Dunlop had said to me, look, you know, you're getting a home shot in the Belfast show. 3 weeks after it, he said that you're going to be in the home corner on Sky for that one, you know. And then when he spoke about it, the team reckoned that Anthony Fowler wasn't as good as Cash or Josh Kelly.
I think a lot of people think that.
So we thought about it, and I was like, yeah, you know what, look, maybe it'll give me something to keep the head down and go forward and get back into camp and that. So it was a struggle to get across, because I was training in where's the lads? Rackule. So it was a struggle to get from work to Rackule back to here to try to run this place and the whole lot, and it just wasn't working. And I was only going over there 2-3 times a week because I couldn't do it anymore, like, you know. And I'd been saying that, and then I was chatting to the young Deck, and I was being out with him a bit, and I was saying to him, like, I said, I don't know what to do. I said about this fight, I said, it's just the thoughts now of leaving the house at 5:30 in the morning and not getting home till like 9, half 9 at night again. I said, it just destroyed me throughout the year. Like I said, it killed me. Like, I was wrecked. Like, and he just said to me, oh, what about my dad? Like, he said, I'm sure my dad can train in your place. So I made contact with Deck and spoke to him and the whole lot, and it just made sense. The deal we have is Deck comes here, he comes here about 4:30, 5:45, does his own bit, and I come in here from work between 5 and half 5, and we start training, and we train here. When then we finish training 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'm finished. I'm in the gym. I don't have to leave Rackule and drive across Dublin, and I don't have to get back across. Like, I was working and I'm on the road working. I could have finished in Dundrum at 4:15 and have to drive all the way across to Rackule to train for an hour and a half or so, to turn around and drive all the way back to Bray. it was detrimental, like, you know. So now the routine is we train Monday to Friday between 5 and half 5 in the evening to kind of 7ish for our boxing. So I'm getting 5 days a week boxing in my own gym, and it's only an hour and a half. Whereas going over to Racool, it was like 3.5 hours a day, and it was a lot along with everything else I had going on. So I just rang Eddie and explained it to him, and he understood as well. So I'm still really close to Eddie. I have massive respect for him. He's the man who got me going. And the same, Tommy's still my cuts man, and Tommy just come over and wrap my hands and things for training camps and that. So
yeah, was Declan in your corner for the
Fowler fight? We done an 8-week camp. It was our first training camp. We done an 8-week camp. But just that fight, I wasn't myself that fight. I just wasn't. And then look, he caught me a cracking body shot, 2 cracking body shots, but I just wasn't myself that fight. It was me. It was a new coach, new corner team. I still wasn't with the missus at the time. I'd been going through a lot of crap. I hadn't fought since the May. I was just coming back, and it was just so much change. Everything was changed, you know. But if I fought Fowler tomorrow, would I beat him? No. Would he stop me? I don't know. So I couldn't take anything away from the fight, but it just wasn't me, and I didn't want the fight, to be honest with you. And then I didn't even get the home slot because I was out for 28 days with the stoppage of the body shot. So, you know.
Right. Okay. Do you find that you're kind of lucky in a sense that because boxing, it doesn't take up your whole life, and it's not everything in terms of with or without boxing, you'll be okay. Like you know, you've got the gym here. You know, you've got a good business, and obviously you're promoting other boxers and stuff like that, or managing, should I say. So, do you think after you lose a fight or something, that you're quite lucky that it's not the end of the world? Whereas, obviously, we're close to other boxers that, like just say, Declan and stuff like that, who they're being touted as these prospects and stuff like that, and that's basically all they know. And then when they take a loss, it just consumes the whole life and the whole world for so many months, and they're not in the gym or and they have to rebuild and basically take these journeymen with small fights. Do you consider yourself quite lucky, like in that aspect?
Yeah, that's why I don't do it. Like I have a full-time job, and I have a good job. You know what I mean? I have a good job. I could close the gym tomorrow, give up on boxing, forget about the sport, go back to playing 5-a-side with the lads and just focus on work, and I could still live the life I live with holidays, and my family would be still looked after and all, but just my job. The gym is extra. The promoting management things, you don't make any money out of that. You lose money on that, if anything. And then the fighting, you might get a few bob for this fight or that fight, but the same, that's just a bonus. It's an extra bonus. So like, I mean, I fought Paddy Gallagher last week, and my job were great. They gave me a bit of time extra to go up and weigh in and things, the day off and that, to go and weigh in and things. But I fought Paddy on the Friday. My family were up there. We went out the Friday. I was back home living the father life, the normal life, on the Saturday, the Sunday, and I was back into the office on Monday. And straight out back out visiting me customers that I go to, and I deal with like consultants and people like that, you know, project managers and things off on sites and stuff like that. So yeah, there's no problem. Like, I mean, I don't rely on it. As I said, it's a hobby for me. It's the same as playing football. It's the exact same. Like, the reason why I love boxing over football, and the reason why I stuck at the boxing and closed the door on the football, was I find I always, and anyone that played football with me, I'm sure would say this, in training I always was the hardest working. I always wanted to win. When I lost a game, no matter what it was, a friendly, anything, people used to say these cup matches that really were, they didn't mean that, cup matches, you know, you weren't going to win that cup anyway. That wasn't me. We were going to win that cup. You know what I mean? And so I feel with boxing, because you're only reliant on yourself, it suits me better.
You can live with it after.
If I lose, I lose.
Yeah.
When I used to get up on a Sunday morning and leave the family and go down to the back arse of nowhere to play a match, and 2 or 3 lads turn up because you were on the session the night before and we lost, I'm going home, I'm not talking to my missus and the kids for the rest of the day because I'm like a demon. Because you know why? Because of 2 or 3 lads that didn't give a shit. Whereas at boxing, when you lose, you lose. When you win, you win. And that suits me much better, because I know I never leave any stones unturned, and that's why I'm 1,000,000% in, like, me training, me camps and all. It's me, and I know, and I put everything into them. So when I lose, I've lost to a better guy.
Yeah.
And you can tell by my record. Yeah, it probably looks like my record is, it's bad looking at the minute, but if you look at the lads I've lost against, I've only ever lost against top level guys, and or else for titles.
Majority all unbeaten when they're
mostly were,
yeah, pretty much. A lot of them were, you know, built up these prospects from amateurs and things like that are looking to people touting them as, like, especially like Josh Kelly and people like that. People are just touting them to be next world champions in their, like, in the next generation, you know. So obviously you can cope with stuff like that, you know. But In terms of now, obviously your management as well. So you started up JB Management a few years ago. Was it a year ago? A year ago? Was it about that? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah, it would have been about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
When I went pro and I finished up with the semi-pro end of things. I ran one show when I was still pro on the semi-pro thing, and then I went into the. I wanted to go run pro shows, so I started the promotion company, the management company.
How many fighters do you have under you at the moment?
I have Martin Wall, Eddie Tracy, Carl Kelly, and I'll be announcing another one this week. Okay, right. And so, obviously you've been managing those fighters, but you kind of looked to do a show last year in Dublin. Yeah.
Pro card, and you fell into a bit of a lot of obstacles put in place that wouldn't necessarily be the same in Belfast. But do you want to talk about maybe just that whole process that you went through and why it didn't happen? Obviously, it was to no fault of your own, really. You know what I mean? But what was it that makes it so difficult in the Republic of Ireland to make these fights, and why do you think that? Do you think there ever will be a time where we'll be able to do it in the Republic of Ireland?
Yeah, look, it's be going over all ground on it, and if it went fairly public about it, there was a lot of misread stuff and there was a lot of stuff back and forward that probably shouldn't have been. But the cost of running a show in the Republic of Ireland is a lot more than the North. Okay, that's everyone knows that. What the costs are, I won't go into. But it's hard to run a show in the Republic of Ireland. But it's not even that. I would be more thinking, and I hope maybe with the show I was running, I wanted to run 50-50 fights, a lot of 50-50 fights, get guys fighting each other, and
like Victor and Carl. Trying to get those kind of tough.
Yeah, I was trying to get Victor and Carl, Eddie Tracy and Jay Andrews. They were all my lads, and then I tried to get a few others, but just couldn't get them up. I found it very hard to get guys, managers to agree to fight each other, to get fights. And look, I understand it's about building, get them, through the early stages of career. But half these guys have hundreds of amateur fights, you know what I mean? But I believe that's changing, because I did speak a lot at the time to Stephen Sharp of Celtic Clash. I was chatting to him about having his guys on the show, and just in general we'd be friends, and I was saying to him, it's the only way forward in Ireland because of the cost of running the show. I said, if you don't have to pay, they don't have to sell X amount of tickets to cover Journeyman, and then obviously they only have the show costs, I said, to cover. But I said, if you have one fight and you have two guys fighting each other, you're getting double the show costs per fight. I said, and there's not much pressure on the guys. They're getting double the purse because they're not paying the journeyman, so they're getting double the purse. They're making double the money, and you're getting double the purse or the show costs. So I said, it's the only way we can do these shows in Ireland.
And the laws don't look too bad in the record.
And if you lose to a guy who's unbeaten from Dublin, or a tough guy from Dublin who's beaten X, Y, and Z, it doesn't look bad.
Yeah.
And you can also get the Celtic titles in play and the Irish titles in play a lot easier, rather than have to try find a Catalonian or a Scottish or someone to come in. You pay him $2 or $3 grand. It's just crazy, So it looks like on Celtic Clash, the new Celtic Clash, that the lads have gone down that road. No, I'm not saying I've been in any way inputting them to go down that road, but it just looks like they're going down that road, and I just hope the card is as successful as it looks, because the guys are trying hard and they're the only ones running shows regularly in the Republic and successfully. I know they're not making lots of money either, because it's very hard to make money, and I know that, and I don't think they'd be anyway put off with me saying that, but I do believe this is the way forward. I mean, I'm looking at that card as Stephen McAfee is fighting Virgil McCrory for an Irish title, and then you have Dylan McDonough and Carl McDonald for an Irish title, and then recently you have Carl Kelly announced to fight Martin Quinn.
Lynn Harvey's on it as well.
Yeah, and Eddie Tracy's on it.
Yeah.
And Martin Wall's on it. My guy's on it. But you've got good. There's 3 to 4 good fights, and I do believe that Ciaran McMahon may be fighting for the welterweight Celtic title, because I have actually in the last few days vacated my title. I vacated my title for Ciaran McMahon to fight for the Celtic title on that Celtic Clash, and the winner of the fight has to fight me for the Irish title.
That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
So my retirement plans were due for November 30th after Scotland, but I mean, if there's an Irish title there to fight for in February or March on the next show in Dublin, I'd be foolish to retire in November, you know. So,
Yeah.
and I like Ciaran. Ciaran's a great guy. I had him over here a few weeks ago sparring, and he's a good kid. He's a good kid. He's very good. He's a good boxer as well. Yeah, he's good. He's a good lad, though, you know. And I mean, I was happy to vacate it for Ciaran. The lads had asked me, and I said, "Yeah, look, no problems."
The Irish title is very under overlooked. I think. Like, I don't think people realise how privileged it is in terms of the people that have won it. You can go Tyson Fury's won it, Andy Lee's won it, Frankie Gavin, all these people that went on to be like world champions, stuff like that. I don't think we realise what an Irish title looks like on your resume, you know.
Exactly.
But just before we wrap up in a couple of minutes, I just want to touch on, there's some stuff coming out this week about a couple of fighters who weren't getting paid off Assassins. So basically, for people to understand, usually your management or promoter, when a person is given, they always have to tell you. That's what the Ali Act was in the States anyway, that they have to disclose how much your person is, like how much you're getting paid, don't they?
Yeah.
As far as I know now, because obviously what was happening before was they weren't getting told, and they weren't. You kind of hide away the money, like so. That seems to be what was happening with a couple of the lads at Assassins Boxing. Do you have any knowledge of that, or?
I've only what I've read and from what I've heard from people who I know in around the situation. On the who's the two you're talking about? Jordan Lattimore.
Yeah, that's the one that was most public about it.
And then the right.
But there is a couple of lads that are going to be. I think a couple of them have been underpaid, but they're discussing it with them, and if they don't basically get what they're asked for, they're going to make it public as well.
Yeah, I look at the whole Roy Keane situation. I mean, there seems to be two sides of the story on that. I know Roy personally. I spoke to Roy. I offered to help Roy out in any way I could. I actually went to IrishBoxing.com when I was running the show, and I tried to get Roy on the show. The chap was heartbroken. Like, I mean, he's properly heartbroken over what happened. That was his start to his career, 25-30 grand into a kiddie. He was giving up work, he was coming a pro, and he would have went. I think he would have been the next man to bring the blue belt back to the south of Ireland. He was the European one, obviously. He was excellent in that competition. He just showed how good he was. I mean, it was frightening. And that was the start of his career, and I offered to put him on the show. I offered to help him out. I actually went to IrishBoxing.com and I asked IrishBoxing.com what did they think of setting up a GoFundMe, and it was basically a GoFundMe to throw out to the boxing public, throw it out to the boxing community of pay Roy, get Roy his money that he's owed, and see if everyone in the boxing community would donate stuff to it, and hopefully put the target as what he had been ripped off of. And the lads thought it was a great idea, and they said they'd do everything they could to help it, and they were the same. And I said, yeah, look. So I went to Roy, and Roy was worried, and he said no. He said, look, no, but thanks very much in the whole. And I think he's caught in a catch-22. I think he feels if he came public and said his side of the story, I think he may lose out on his chance of getting any of the money that he is owed. And I just think it's terrible for him, because such a great amateur, a great pro in his few fights that he's had, and he needs to be fighting, and he's not getting any younger either, so it needs to be sorted and resolved. Regarding Jordan Lattimore, what I've read, and I think you've probably read it as well, and I think everyone has read it. No, look, he shouldn't. I don't think he should have been in the fight. I always get offered a few fights from matchroom guys to make matchmaking, and that fight was a no-go. I have a middleweight and I refused that fight. I have a welter to light middle and I refused that fight. Jordan's a light middle, and they accepted that fight. Why? £10 over on the scales, and still accepted that fight, and then handed the kid €1,000. I don't care who you blame. As his manager, you read the contract. You're responsible for the boxer's well-being, safety, and all that. That wasn't the case that night. So they can fight a corner and say that the British Boxing Board of Control have backed them and all this. British Boxing Board of Control haven't backed them, and I know that for a fact. Because I don't think they've gone to the British Boxing Board of Control, and that's being straightly honest. I'm not bad mouthing Assassin around like it. I'm not into bad mouthing the whole lot. But that boxer, Jordan is uneducated in the management side of things, and he's uneducated in the rules and around the boxing the whole lot, but his management team shouldn't have took that fight. He shouldn't have took the fight. £10 on the scales means your man was going to put on another £10. Jordan was therefore £20 lighter getting into the ring against an elite level amateur, and Jordan no amateur career, and he had two fights. And to be straightly honest with you, Jordan might like to hear this, but he was poor in Scotland against Jade Karam, and he struggled over there against Jade Karam, who is another lower level pro. Nah, he shouldn't have took the fight, and that's what the management team is responsible for. I think he shouldn't have took the fight. I don't think for a minute he should have took the fight. But look, it is what it is. I don't know the reasons behind it. But then when the kid came out and said he got €1,000, and you know, I was like, €1,000. And Matchroom don't pay euros. Matchroom pays sterling. They're an English company. Why would they go and change the sterling into euros and give him euros? So, and trying to badmouth a brand like Matchroom as well is a bit silly, like, you know, and risking it. And then I seen there was obviously a text conversation between him and one of his managers, Connor, put up, and they said he got 1,600. And then I think afterwards there was comments that he was actually handed 1,800, as in Connor. So there's a couple of hundred went missing and the whole lot, but it's sad. I mean, the kid's gone over there. I don't think he'll have a box again. I don't think he'll have a box again. He's soft young fella, and that scared him. I mean, you could see by him, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think the injuries that he claimed he had were fairly legit either. He got hit, I think, 2 clean shots, and I think he had 7 different injuries, you know, in 7 different areas. So I don't know how he injured certain areas when he only was hit twice, you know. There was a couple I looked at. I think he had perforated eardrums, and then he had a broken cheek, or he had a nose, and then his eye socket, and there was lots of injuries that I just, Jesus, them 2 punches done some damage. And so, but then at the other side of the coin, you have to know your fighter, and you have to know how tough your fighter is. You have to know how gritty your fighter is, how, you know, what can be said. Like, see Eddie Tracy, I could have took that fight for Eddie, and the guy might have stopped Eddie, but I wouldn't bank on it. And Eddie will still fight. Eddie's like myself. Eddie wouldn't be technically amazing. Like, amateur experience would be limited like my own, but he can get in there and he put it on you, and he won't stop until that bell goes, until the end, you know. So that's a difference. Whereas with Jordan, he's never shown that in his career, that he has grit like that, you know. And that's about knowing your fighter, you know. I just think there's too many guys being signed over. There's a big, I've signed this lad, I've signed this lad. Who's educating these kids on signing over? What are they being promised, you know? Why are they being promised this? Can you back up the promises? Like, I could go out tomorrow and advertise them signing X, Y and Z, and I'm bringing them all over the world fighting, you know? But half of these kids, half of them are advertising, they're bringing out, or like, there's one of the companies are advertising, they're bringing the kids around the place, and they're going to bring them to Mexico, and they're bringing them here, and they're bringing them there. And the other boxers are looking at this going, wow, they're amazing. You get to go to Mexico, and you get to go here, and you get to... Sure, the kids are paying for it themselves. They're paying to go to Mexico, and the coaches are paying to go with them. So you have to actually pay to fly to Mexico and stay over there with the kid. Sure, what coach wants to hand out 500, 600, 700 quid to go and coach his, because he's not getting any money back. You know, so you're paying 600, 700 quid, taking time off work to go over to corner your boxer and get nothing for it. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't do it for money, but you certainly aren't going to hand out 600, 700 quid to do the corner of one of your boys, you know. So I just think all that needs to be nipped in the bud, and, you know, just look after as many fighters as you can look after, that you can actually look after them and make sure their best interests are at heart, you know. And that's it. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be taking a percentage off a 1,600 purse is what they called, a 1,600 euro purse, which wasn't that, but 1,600 euros, and they're saying, and they took a percentage off that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. If one of my kids, our boy, has earned, you know, 1,600 quid, you know, you're not going to take 25%. You might, you know, if you had to go somewhere or whatever it costs you, mumight take, you know, 10% even, but not 25% of the 1,600 purse. Because
it might not be worth a lot of money to you, but it's a lot of money to them at that time.
They've done the training, they've done the fight, they're the ones getting punched in the head. You know, like, at the end of the day, are you managing to make money? Are you managing because they love the sport? Because if you're doing it to make money, take up something else. You know, there's easier ways of making money. You'd make more money working on minimum wage in a garage pumping petrol or something. Yeah.
Curtis Brother said before he won his British title fight, he says it would have made more sense for him financially to sign on welfare, like. But
and that's what happens.
So what I was going to say to you as well is, so for someone let's just say he's been an amateur till maybe 29, and they were thinking about turning over to being a pro, a couple of lads obviously in gyms that I'm in and stuff like that, they're just saying at that point in their life where they don't need boxing, obviously they just do it because of the love for the sport. What would be your opinion or your advice to that person or anyone who would be thinking of turning off to being a pro? What advice would you give them?
The first thing I'd say to anyone, whether they're 18 or 30, 35, think about why you're going pro. Have a reason why you're going pro. Have then your goal. Why when you're going pro? What is your goal? What do you want to achieve? Like I say to all my guys, and I've got so many mails on Facebook about signing people and talking to me, and I always ask them straight, okay, you're living in Ireland, what's your amateur background? I had a couple of guys that text me, I have 8 Irish titles, of this, of that, and I said contact the likes of MTK Global or Matchroom or something like that, because I couldn't afford to fund you, and at that kind of experience you'd be looking for a lot more than I could give you, and I'd be straight with lads like that. But the first thing is, have a reason why you're going pro. What do you want to achieve? No, do you want an Irish title? Do you want Celtic title? Like I had a fella text me one time, I've 8 amateur fights, I've won the 8 of them, and I said, what do you want to achieve? I think I could be a world champion. And I said, yeah, you're probably better off talking to someone else. You know what I mean? But I just think people need to be realistic about it. If you're asking me, if someone's coming to me to go pro, or someone's asking for information on going pro, remember, you're living in Ireland, you must be able to sell tickets. Simple as that. To get yourself to 3-0, 4-0, you need to sell tickets. People say, I can sell tickets, I can do 30 or 40. In Ireland, to sell tickets, to break even, you need to do between 60 and 70 tickets at 35, 40 euros. And that's it. You won't get away with it less than that. Unless you have a manager that's going to pump money into you, that's it. So it's 60, 70 tickets at 35 to 40 quid to break even. That's your between 800 and 1200 show cost to the promoter. Who needs to charge that because of the cost of running shows? And then a 4-round fight against a journeyman will cost you a minimum of 1,500 euros. You're talking 2.5 grand to fight in Dublin, in the home corner, to get a win, as they say. So 2.5 grand divided by the tickets, you're talking 60 to 70 tickets. So if you can do 60 to 70 tickets, and that's a must sell, not I should be able to, count up all your friends, count your family, and say, yeah, I have 70. Remember, some of them will be on holiday, some of them won't be. So it has to be able to do that at a minimum, and if you do that, you've broken even. You're not getting paid, but you're breaking even. Then the other side of it is, are you willing to fight? Sell a few tickets, fight. Do you want to fight big fights? Do you want some good nights out? Do you want to get a Box Nation night out, a BT, a Sky Box night out? You can get them. Get yourself up to 2-3-0. You can go on the road as a journeyman and turn up and box the orders and lose. I wouldn't do that. I think it's degrading to someone to know you're going into a fight to lose. Now there is people who make a lot of money out of it, don't get me wrong, and they don't work and they do that and they get their 1,500 quid.
They don't have to sell tickets either.
No, sell no tickets, 1,500 quid a week, fighting, tough, don't get stopped, but it's not good for the brain either. No. So I wouldn't be into that. But then you can be, you can fight anybody, have the attitude, I'll fight anybody, anytime. You're going to get paid some nights, you're going to fight at home, you're going to get your wins at home, you're going to fight in domestic fights. But you're not going to run away from fights, you're going to take fights. So Sky Ring, yeah, no problems. Box Nation, yeah. Once you feel you're tough enough and you're going to put the work in your camp and you're going to get into the ring and you're going to be safe. Yeah, you might get knocked out with a body shot, you may get caught in the chin, you might go down. But once you feel you're not going in to be slaughtered and you're going to be badly hurt. Like I've had some big fights, as everyone kind of knows, and I've never been cut. I've never had a broken nose. So I've never had a broken jaw, anything like that. The worst thing that's happened to me is I've popped my shoulder out twice, but it hasn't stopped me fighting, it hasn't made me pull out of fights or anything like that. So that's it. And I've had probably the toughest route in Ireland in the last few years, and I would class myself as still fairly healthy, I still feel fairly fresh, I'm not in pain, I'm not going around talking out my arse and
flip-flopping about or anything like that.
No, look, I still feel as
well, you've spoken alright now the last 45 minutes.
I still feel as healthy as I was when I went into it. I actually feel healthier because I'm more in routine, I eat better, I have a better lifestyle because I'm training, I feel mentally, I feel better because of the training, I feel like I eat really well. Bar when I'm out of camp, I'm going to Bender for a couple of weeks of eating chocolate and everything else, and eating out and all, but no, I feel healthier, I feel fresher, I feel because of boxing, because of training and because of the routine. So if I start going around and I had cuts all over my face, stitched up and marked up, my nose all over my face, I'm out of here, man. I'm not here for it. I'm only here for a hobby. I enjoy it. But so anyone going pro, I think they need to realise that. Have a look at it. You know, what do you want to achieve? If you want to win a Celtic title or an Irish title, you can do it. Anyone can do it. Anyone at all. You just need to say, right, okay, put the head down, and you've got to do what you're told by your coaches, by your advisors, by your managers. I think every boxer in this country should have an advisor. I don't think you need all these managers, because it's just money. I think you need someone that will advise you on what to do best and what to do. And if your managers doing that for you, that's fine. But there's some of the managers that are managers and they don't do anything for the fighters. You know what I mean? They don't do anything for them. They don't get them fights, but they take the percentage when the fights come. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but no, there's some good guys. I really think the Celtic Clash crew are really doing well. I'm very fond of the lads. I think they're doing really well. I think they are building nicely, and I just hope this show now is a big success. And who knows? You know, they might get back to fill out the stadium now after, because they've done a great thing with going out of the stadium. They filled out Trim it a couple of times, and I do think maybe going back to the stadium and a show like what they have coming up, and with a big card like that, fill out the stadium would be a great night for Irish boxing, because it hasn't been full since the MTK show in November a few years back. The Jamie Conlon, if you remember, punching the floor and getting up, and the atmosphere that night. So I think the lads on the road to that, because they're so willing now to start putting all the guys in against each other and make them fight. And you know, we know who wants to call himself a pro and who actually is a pro.
Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. Well, we got through a lot there. It's pretty, we can't stay longer. I'm talking here all night, but I really appreciate you coming on.
No, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, and it's been very insightful. And we'd love to have you on again.
100%. Anytime.
So thanks very much. Okay.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
So thanks everyone for watching. Just remember, hit the subscribe button below. You can also find us on SoundCloud. I'm also going to put that link in the bio below. You can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Okay. Thanks very much.